Been getting questions, and there's a number of videos out there about taking urea 4600 and putting it in a bucket with water and what I call melting it down, essentially put it in solution. Same thing with ammonium sulfate 2100. There are plenty of YouTube videos about it, raving how great this practice is. I got a question from a viewer that says this: I swapped over a liquid this year in where he lives in the state. Hopes to apply some foliar applications and save some money, plus might be easier for some applications. My nitrogen and iron applications are not having the results that I was looking for. My lawn is green, but not as green as it was when I used organic granular fertilizer. I have tried many liquid options, nitrogen and iron, but I'm not getting the same results that I got with granular organic. This is not a topic that I can find anyone talking about on YouTube. People always mix the product and rave about the results. I've also seen comments online where guys say, yes, I do a foliar application, but I water it in immediately. Okay, then that's not a foliar application. You want to leave it on the leaf blade so it absorbs by the leaf. If you're going to do that, you might as well go ahead and put out the ammonium sulfate and granular and water it in. It's the same thing, ends up the soil. If you need to do, and I'm actually going to give you some very solid guidance here on 10 things that you need to do if you're doing a foliar application. Works cited. I've done extensive research, University of Arizona, University of Clemson, one doctoral dissertation, and 2 graduate theses that I've actually read through to actually do this. One of the better publications that I've actually seen, both, believe it or not, covers both warm and cool season grasses, University of Arizona down below. It's very bullet point is what he's put together. But I wanted to get multiple sources, and I'll go give you one right now. There was a few studies that one publication said that using an adjuvant, that's basically a crop soy oil, non-ionic surfactant, some type of surfactant actually helps. One said it does, 2 said it didn't make a difference. So that's one of the 10. Now, as far as the rest of the 10. One, spray volume. And I talk about this in my one mistake that everybody's making video. You need to keep your spray volume. That is the total amount of product and water below 1 gallon per 1,000 square feet. If you exceed that, you're going to be washing some of this off the leaf blade, and you really want this to be on the leaf blade. 2, you want it to stay on the leaf blade for 4 hours. The reason being, majority of the uptake occurs in the first 4 hours after application. 2, you get better results at high humidity, going back to staying on the leaf blade. It is on the leaf blade during low humidity, but if it starts to evaporate, it does not stay in the liquid form, and it does not get into the transcuticular structures of the leaf blade. I will get to what that means here in a second. In other words, it doesn't get into the leaf because it needs to stay in the liquid. Okay, if it's dry, it's not going to get into those transcuticular pores that go into the plant. Anyway, better at night because the stomates are closed, according to the University of Arizona. Stomates close up, and you actually get those cuticular pores actually open up just a little bit better at night. It's better on cool season grasses than it is on warm season grasses because they have more transcuticular pores. Differences in tank mixes. In other words, you're going to put fungicide, herbicide, whatever. They show no difference in far as efficacy or response, if you will, if you mix it with something else. So don't sweat that. Every 2 weeks. It's got to go out every 2 weeks is what they're basically saying in order to keep this green up, which is sort of the point I'm going to make later on in this video of why do you really want to do this every 2 weeks. Water eventually, it does need to be absorbed by the roots. Okay, so you want to leave it on there for 4 hours. Then you want to water it in, not right after you do it, because you're not going to get the response that you're wanting on a foliar application by simply watering at the moment it's on there. Don't do a foliar application and then leave it on the leaf blade all day long when it's hot, because the possibility of phototoxicity with that is very high. Phototoxicity is different than burning the grass. Phototoxicity is a chemical burn that you have on the grass that can happen at higher temperatures. Okay. The burning, which can happen, that's actually number 10, is frequency. And that's one thing University of Arizona said is you keep on going out with this, eventually you're going to burn the grass. And that is through either phototoxicity, either a chemical burn, or through actually that salt. It is salt pulling, desiccation, pulling that pulling the water out of the leaf blade. So that's why when you go too high, and this is why I do not recommend mixing it in your garage. I think that is stupid, and you are just asking for trouble. You're just asking for it. You're begging for trouble. The best thing to do, and these foliar fertilizers is not that expensive. I'm gonna save some money. Okay. If you kill grass now, we're in June, cool season grass, guys, you're looking at dirt till October. And every time you look at it, you get reminded that you messed up. So anyway, leave comments on how great your yard is and everything else. You can go to the Facebook page and rub it in my face, whatever. But and it's one of the comments I actually made on the Facebook page. If you can take pictures and brag, or even ask for guidance, well, I've got a number of guys on there, including myself, that can give home lawn care advice. And how much money are you saving? You know, and this is Bermuda grass. It's a nitrogen hog. It will take probably all I'll need, or I can give to it. So right now, and I'll tell you what I've done later. I have a total of probably about $65 in fertilizer on about 6,500 square foot of yard. I have about 1,500 to 2,000 square foot of tall fescue in the back underneath the shade tree. How much are you really saving? And if you smoke your grass, seed ain't cheap. I know I'm going to get comments. Well, I do this and it really makes my yard green and blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. If it works for you, wonderful. I'm talking to people who haven't done it before. It's risky. You don't believe it's risky. To my cool season grass viewers, wait till winter. You get a good icy sidewalk and put some urea or ammonium sulphate on it. Watch it melt the ice. Yes, it is that much salt. And think about it for just a minute. You take salt, you pour it all over your body, and you go out and sit in the middle of your yard when it's 85 degrees. You think, it's 85 degrees, not too bad. Yeah, wait till that hot sun, that hot summer sun, bakes down on you with all that salt on you. That's what you're doing to your grass. And I understand these guys love to think they've got the secret and the secret juice and secret sauce and all this other bullshit. It's not that hard. As I say, it's not that complicated. And I'm going to take you through what I've done in my yard so far this year. Here's this one. This is the tall fescue yard, ryegrass tall fescue yard that I have. As I said in my aerification video, this is going to be one of the key things. You want green grass is to aerify your yard. That oxygen exchange, air exchange soil, and the air is paramount to getting your grass greener. Relieving that compaction somewhat, as I said in my aerification video, but increasing that water infiltration in the soil significantly makes your grass greener. I hate to say it, and if I happen to have the picture, I might have taken it, if I'm not right here. I had a dog die, Tallulah, and a black cocker, or pardon me, a black lab. I buried her in my yard. And where I buried her, because I relieved that compaction, I had good exchange. That was the best grass that I had, quite candidly, before I had my YouTube channel, because I didn't do a whole lot to my yard. That's why I have Bermuda grass, because you don't have to do a whole lot to Bermuda grass to keep it very healthy and looking great. One comment I made, why do you want to put this out with a backpack sprayer? Because of the risk you're going to take. Somebody on some other channel said, well, you got to get back on that horse. Why the hell are you doing anything? It's going to damage your grass. This is, if you want to be an extremist, jump out of airplanes. I mean, why do something when you have all these other options that is one hell of a lot safer for your grass and actually going to perform better? Why would you do that? Anyway, so what have I done on my yards this year? This grass? Two things I've done. One, on this lawn, I reseeded it last year, did the spot treating. I put superior varieties out. You are going to be limited on the color of your grass by the genetics of it. And these new varieties, this is actually, I put, let's see, Providence and Rover, and what was the other one? Daybreak. Tall fescue on this. Those are top varieties in the National Turfgrass Evaluation Program. I go over that in my seed video. Those will give you superior genetic quality. My main thing is this. I hate for you to lose grass. I hate for you to waste your time. And I hate for you to waste your money. That is really important to me in my channel. That's all there is to it. So that's why I'm getting a little passionate about some of these goofy little hacks and these things that guys do with diesel fuel and all this other bullshit. Total bullshit. It just is. It just clickbait bullshit. I put out, as I did in my aerification video, the 21 0.74 that I have on my storefront. It's a polymer coated product. This is why I went over in my fertilizer video exactly what SGN means, what a polymer coat urea does, what a sulfur coated urea does, and break down all these things. So when you see a fertilizer bag and you're looking at the fertilizer tag, you know what's in it, and you can actually begin to be a turf manager and know what you're putting out and not look at some goofball, some accountant from Dallas. Doesn't mean anything bad, Dallas or accountants, but you're not listen to some accountant from Dallas and you go out and burn up your grass. My Bermuda grass, what have I done to it? Well, I actually did put a triple 19 out soon, about 2 weeks after coming out of dormancy, because when Bermuda grass comes out of dormancy, you do definitely need to feed it. Then, not on my Amazon storefront, I got to be honest with you, it's one of the best fertilizers I've seen on the market, and that is, believe it or not, from Lowe's Stay Green 3003. It is a polymer coated, sulfur coated urea. And it's 100%. It is that much of a slow release fertilizer. What's the rate that I put on this? In the second week in May, right? Yeah, we're in mid-June. I put 3 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. Now, you may have jumped off your chair going, wow, that's a hell of a lot. Yeah, it is a hell of a lot. But you need to understand, this is why I set up my fertilizer video, the sulfur-coated urea in that fertilizer is going to feed for about 6, maybe 8 weeks tops. The polymer-coated in there, that polymer-coated urea, is going to feed 12 weeks. So here I am in mid-May. That's going to take me June, July, August, okay, basically into early August on my Bermuda. I put a pound of triple 19 and I put 3 pounds of that 3003 from Lowe's Stay Green. It actually has micronutrients in it too. It's actually one of the best fertilizers I've seen on the market. I don't get a thing for saying that. As I say, I don't care where you guys buy stuff as long as you get what you need. But that's a hell of a lot of work going out every 2 weeks religiously with I put out a slow release fertilizer, organic, polymer coating, sulfur coating product, and feed slowly and have a continuous, consistent green throughout the entire year. That's how I feel. I've been keeping on asking questions, got guys asking about it all the time. And people worry about the pH of the water, their biochar, and all this. I don't use any of that shit. I just don't. I just don't. And where I'm jaded is, guys, something else you got to realize. I used to sell this stuff. I did for a very short amount of time because I'm not a very good salesman, because I'm not going to sell anything to anybody or tell anybody that they don't need. Not my bag. Not the way I roll. You got to understand a lot of these biochar, biostimulants, whale sperm, whatever the hell they're selling. That is a higher margin. Okay, I can sell, a salesman can sell $20 worth of fertilizer and make a 10% profit. Or, 10% profit. Make $2 on a $20 fertilizer sale. Or they can sell you $20 worth of biostimulants and make $10 because there's that much of a markup on some of those biostimulants. You need to know that as an informed shopper. I don't have biostimulants out, though. On the Facebook page, I will say, if you guys want to go to the Facebook page, take pictures, show me your yard. Hey, I treat it with urea, and this is what my yard looks like. You can just rub it right in my face. I don't care. But anyway, I want more people on the Facebook page. I like the community element of it. But I do have experts on the Facebook page who do answer lawn care advice. If you want lawn care advice, you can go there. Some of those guys do use biostimulants, and they've had success with it. And those guys I do respect. So my heart has softened a bit for biostimulants. But as far as those, get your pH right first. Get your potassium and phosphorus right first. Get the right grass species and variety. This is Yukon, grows very well in the north. Down there, we've got Oliver, Providence, and Daybreak down there that I got from Twin City Seed, high quality seed. You get all those. And if you're still not there, which I bet you're going to be, then start looking at biostimulants and all the other crazy stuff. Something else too. I'll leave you with this. I'm trying to save you some. I'm going to try something and then it not work. Now you waste your money. Whenever you see research data and I see this a lot on biostimulants, I see a lot on this, some of this stuff on wetting agents, which I do advocate for, is you will see studies, and they're legit studies, don't get me wrong, and oftentimes done by good universities. Yeah. They compare it to control. Control is nothing. not a comparable product. Like let's say fertilizer, you're putting out a 4600 versus a 2100 versus a whatever fertilizer source. Now, which one performs better when you're putting out those two? They don't compare it to another comparable product. They compare it to control. Basically, what you're saying is it's better than nothing. Well, I sure as hell hope it is better than nothing. You got to keep that in mind too whenever you look at this stuff and look at the research of it. I'm not saying those are bad studies, but I personally like the wetting agents that I talked about in my summer prep video. Here we are on summer. Those wetting agents that I showed with the primer product and the H2O maximizer. That's comparing 4 or 5 different products and which one performs best out of that group. Those are the types of ones that really get my ears perked up, and those are the ones I kind of look at. So do be aware of that whenever you're looking at research and looking at things. And for God's sakes, quit. I implore you not to fall for these hacks. I really do. It just, and some of these shortcuts, because be honest with you, if something was working that well, Scott's or one of these other larger companies, Stay Green, whatever, would already have a damn bottle selling it to you anyway. And probably if it was that great, they'd be selling it at a hell of a margin because they could take 4600, throw in a bottle, sell to you pretty damn cheap, and probably do a good market share. But they know better. It's just too risky. So anyway, I'm agronomist Greg Phillips, and remember, it's not that complicated.